Welcome, everyone, jumping in on our webinar for this morning. I guess afternoon if you're on the East Coast. We'll wait just a minute or so here for everyone to jump in, and then we'll go ahead and get started. Hope everyone's having a good day so far. Lots of people jumping in, which is awesome. So cool. Let's go ahead and we'll jump in here. Again, welcome to our webinar for CT6, configuring and managing events. Yeah, we're excited to go through this webinar and show you some of the new features that we have. So we're going to go through, just have a couple slides here, then we'll jump in into the demo. So my name's Andy. I'm one of our business analysts here. Also joining me on the call are Taylor and Jason, and they'll be there to help answer questions and things like that. So we're here to help you guys out with this process. So our agenda for today, just do kind of a short introduction, and then really we're going to walk through creating an event in CT6. And what I'm going to focus on is kind of the new functionality that's in CT6 that when we moved it over from CT5. So we may not go into a lot of detail on the things that are kind of the same in both systems, more just highlighting the new features and kind of how you can utilize those. And then we'll also have a Q&A time at the end. And to ask a question, there's a box in your webinar where it has Q&A. You can go ahead and select that, and you can type in your question. Taylor and Jason may be moderating those during, maybe just answering those for you there. But we'll also have a live Q&A at the end, just for kind of everyone's benefit for that. If there's a lot of questions we don't get to everyone, we'll follow up with you on those and to get you the answers that you need. So awesome. So I'm going to exit out of here. I'm going to hide my video for right now, and then we're going to jump into our demo. So yeah, so event configuration is one of the newer features that we've moved over to CT6, and to kind of show some navigation on how to get here. We're going to select on the menu, and then come here to the config option, and then under registration, and then you'll see several of the different categories under event configuration, and we're going to focus here on the event. So once you get to this screen, this is the search screen where we'll show your list of events. This is if you wanted to go in and modify an existing event, you can do that, or also add a new event. So right now I have it filtered for 2019. Select find, and that's going to show me my list of events. You can see the begin and end date, and then this is again where you can edit, you can delete, or you can also copy those events. If you set up one, copy them out as needed there. So we're going to go down here to the lower left-hand corner and select Add Event, and sorry, right-hand corner, and go through the event creation process. So so this one, I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to call it Overnight Camp. We'll do week, I don't think I've done week 4. So that's going to be my name of my camp. Here, I'll do my ONC4 for 2019. Session, this is another field that is useful. Some people may not kind of understand how this works, but basically what this allows you to do, if I have 2019 as in my names of each of these, when you're comparing events between years, what session allows you to do is basically just put in something that's unique that you can use to track across multiple years. So, in this case, if I had events, overnight camp week 4 for 2017, 18, and 19, my abbreviation would be different. Each of the names would be different. It makes it hard to compare. But what I could do is just add in the code of, ONC4. And then when you're querying, we can look at that session to make it consistent across the top. So if you have more questions about that, kind of how you can implement that, talk to your business analyst. We'll go ahead and set our dates here. We'll choose one here. We're going to jump to summer 2019. We'll pick a week here in August. So you can, yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and set we'll just do Sunday to Saturday. I can set my time. We'll say they get here at 3 o'clock and they leave at 10 a.m. And then next section here is for availability. One of the things that we've changed here is basically just showing you what you need to know kind of in context. So under attendee max, you know, I could set a max capacity, maybe, you know, I have 400 people for this event. If you offer one with housing resources, you know, once you select that, it's going to take that off instead of showing you that to you. You know, if you have both attendee max and housing resources, it's going to come back up on there. So we'll do this one as attendee max of 400. We'll choose our registration types. For this one, we'll just do child. And then again, you know, maybe if I was doing a family camp, you know, I have some optional lodging selection, and it's going to pop up with those options, you know, if needed. Next section here is for settings. I'm going to select my location. This for each of these next 4 drop downs, you'll see here, you know, you can select the one that you have. You can also edit those, you know, so if you need to update, you know, the address or maybe a description, something like that, you can update those. As well, you know, maybe you're going in and, you know, you're creating something else and something's not there, you can go ahead and just add a location as needed. So we'll go ahead and do Bear Trail here. Go here and select our company division, our cost center, and then our event type. We'll do kids camp for that. I can also enter a date if I was, you know, basing it off of my event divisions based off of age, you know, what date to use for those. There's also a button over here in the lower right-hand corner for more. This just gives us some less frequently used options. You can fill those in as needed. You can make it a private event, hide the event dates, put in some projections that you could use for like a budgeting comparison report if need be, as well as setting some different settings for roommates, the max attendees in the chain, you know, differences between the years, different things like that. So yeah, so we'll go ahead and select save here. This is a feature for the batch updater. We'll circle back to that, but this is just something to remember that we'll talk about here in a minute. So once I've created my event, it's going to add a tab here for event divisions. So that's going to be my next step, is to add my event divisions. Again, in the lower right-hand corner, I can select add event division. And so this one, I'm just going to we'll just call this campers as my event division. We'll just do C for the abbreviation. We'll select my event division type. Again, here I can select campers. I can add a new one if need be. And then I could add a description. And then under restrictions, this is where I can set up, you know, who qualifies for this event. So I could set it to, you know, just male or female, or any. And then for ages and grades, I can select, you know, basically that there's no restrictions, or I can select age or grade. So if I do age, it's going to give me an age range, you know, between, you know, 6 and 12 or something like that. And then with grade, this is something that's new, is basically you're able to select the specific grade. So instead of having to, you know, if you have a pre-K event, know that that's -2. We just give you the option there to select it. So we'll go ahead and do this one between 6 and 8 grade for that. Again, my attendee max is here based on the event. So if I needed to edit that, I go back to the event level to do that. And then open registration policy. This is a new feature as well that we've added into event configuration. And this is kind of the first of 3 different policy options that we have. And what policies allow you to do is basically set different, you know, set your policy up on one event, you know, in this example, one event division, and then you're able to assign that across multiple either events or event divisions. So and reuse them. So if you have, you know, across events, you want to open your registration all at the same time. All your summer camp events you want to open at a specific time and date. You can create one registration policy and use that across the board. So so I'll go ahead and I'm going to add a new open registration policy. I'm going to call this one Summer Camp because I'm going to use it across all my summer camp events. For here, there's three options that I have. So the first one would be everybody. So this would be basically, if I just want to set a specific date and time when your registration is open, maybe I'm going to do November 1st at 10 a.m. So yeah, Thursday, that'll work. 10 a.m. Basically, what that's going to do is, on November 1st at 10 a.m., that's going to open registration on your registration site. You're not going to have to clear the cache, go and uncheck disable online enrollments, uncheck a private event, all those kinds of things. It's just going to open at that specific date and time. There's two other options if you want to get more specific on who you're opening it up to. One is returning families, and what this is basically anyone who is basically a returning family would be anyone who's registered previously in the software, and so they would be able to again register at a specific date and time. So maybe you want to give them access, a couple days before. We'll do this one at 10 a.m. On the 29th. And then the third option, this is something that's new as well, is the families with tag. And what this allows you to do is, maybe you have a mom's club or VIP customers that you want to give, kind of exclusive access to register before everyone else. Basically, what the tag is an attribute value. So in this case, it would be VIP. So any families that have the VIP checked will be able to register kind of an exclusive time frame. So maybe they get, the Wednesday before, they're going to get, access. And basically anyone with this tag will be able to register. If they don't have the tag, even if they're returning, that they want to be able to register for the event. So I'm going to jump off a little bit here and talk kind of how you can apply these, with different settings and things like that. Going through and adding VIP to 100 people that you want to give access to probably isn't the most efficient use of time. So we've actually added a new feature for you to be able to bulk update these at the same time. So I'm going to kind of deviate a little bit here from registration, and we'll jump back in, but just kind of show you how this feature works because it has some other applications as well. So I'm going to, so I set my summer camp registration policy, and then I'm going to jump here to queries just for a moment. And what so basically the process here is that I'm going to pull a query that pulls, in this case, families. So I have my enrolled camper family email, and there's an option here when I go to edit details where I can configure basically what type of attribute that I want to assign for this query. So if I go here to advanced settings, this is where I can select my attached to, which is family, and you'd be able to, basically these are your different attribute categories that you have, or attribute types that you have set up. And so in this case, I'm going to do family. Again, if this is something that you are interested in going over, we do have documentation that walks through this a little bit more in detail. I'm kind of just giving you a brief overview on this. So basically once I have my query configured, I'm going to select view query. And this is where I would specify, the different criteria I want. I want to find all my VIPs and assign that attribute to all of them. So maybe, it's everyone from 2018, that's, attended for 5 years or, something like that. I could put in, whatever criteria that, qualifies them as a VIP. In this example, I'll just leave it all blank just so we can see some results here. So say, I've filtered my list. These are all the people that I've identified as a VIP. And now I need to go ahead and assign that attribute to all of them. So once I have my results here, I'm going to go under Actions and Apply Attribute. And this is going to be where I can pull up the different attribute, basically family type attributes that I have configured. So in this case, I have VIP. What this is going to do is once I check this and click Apply Attribute, it's going to check that box for these 10 people that they are now VIPs. So in the context of open registration policy, this is how you would set those up in order to give just those people access to registering at a specific time. But also too, there's other use cases for being able to apply attributes, kind of bulk apply attributes in general if you need to. So if this one is, how did you hear about us? You could select everyone that registered between a certain time. That they all came from your website, and you can assign that. Yeah, so there's other applications that you can use this for. The one use case that we're looking at specifically is open registration policy. So if you do have more questions about that, you can jump on our support site. There's articles that walk through that, which I'll show at the end, or also talk to your business analyst, and we can walk you through that as well. So jumping back over to event configuration, we were in the middle of creating our event division. A couple more options here just down at the bottom. So I set my open registration policy to summer camp. I'll select more. As you can see here, there's a few more options. You can set your reserve, your pad, basically spots that are either you're saving or you're allowing for more up until a specific date. From here as well, once you have your event division created, if you had multiple event divisions, you could copy that out. Just click the copy button, and it's going to, you can update the name and create a copy of that event division. The next tab, as you can see, there's several more tabs that have been added. The next tab that we'll go ahead and take a look at is charges. And what this allows you to do, actually, sorry, I'm going to add one more here. We'll do this as an option. We'll just add an extra event division here. So when I go here under charges, one thing you'll notice that's different is that instead of going into each event division and updating the charges, we've combined these into one tab. What we found a lot of times is that what you're differentiating event division on isn't necessarily the price. Maybe the price is the same across all the event divisions, but it's, maybe it's a workflow step, or it's just a restriction that's different. And so instead of making you go through and, update the price on, 10 different event divisions, we've combined those all into one. And so you can see here with the checkbox, basically we're saying, hey, all the charges are the same for all the divisions of this event. If I did want them separate, I can uncheck that button, and then that's going to give me my two event divisions, and I can update as needed, make them independent of each other. If you want to get back to the state of being the same, just refresh your screen. If all the settings are the same, then it's going to just put that checkbox back up there, and you'll be back with them acting together. So. To go ahead and edit this, I'm going to select the edit button. This is where I can put in my deposit amount. We'll say it's a $100 deposit. Do a $100 deposit here. And then this brings us to our next. Actually, sorry, I'm going to do one thing here just so these are still combined. There we go. So I'm going to do $100. And then I'm going to set up a payment and deposit schedule. So this is another place where a policy comes into effect, similar to open registration policy. Excuse me. And so this is where I can set up a different policies. This would be, maybe you have, initial deposit of $100, and then, for all your events, you require, $300. 2 weeks before the event, and then everything's due the day before the event. If that's the same across the board, instead of having to configure that for each individual event division, you're able to create a policy and then apply those across as needed. So I'm going to go ahead and select Add Deposit Policy. And so this one I'm going to just call Summer Camp as well, because I'm going to use this on several summer camp events. You'll see here there's 3 different options. So we have optional monthly payments. So when I select that, basically this would be setting up a deposit that increases over time, but that's not necessarily scheduled. So right now it's October. Maybe December 1st I want my deposit to be $200 instead of $100. Basically anyone registering after that point would pay $200, but everyone who's paid $100, nothing would come out automatically or anything like that. So on this one I could set specific amount of $200, and we'll say it's 120 days before the event begin date, and then I can go from there. You can also add multiple steps. So maybe, then I want the remaining balances due, 14 days before the event begins. So you can add multiple steps and kind of multiple rules as needed for that. So optional monthly payments, that's basically just kind of raising your, or adding additional deposit requirements throughout the time period. The second one is requiring monthly payments, and what this allows you to do is to set up, basically what's going to do is pick when they registered and when the event begins, and then take the number of months that are in between those 2 dates, and then calculate what that amount is, and so then they pay the deposit and then pay the same amount each month going forward. And then 2, this is where you probably set, you want your remaining balance to be due, 2 weeks out or a week out, to have everyone to pay that off. So, and then the third option is the deposit-based payment schedule. And so this is where you want to schedule your payments as the deposit increases. So this would be example, maybe, December 1st, goes up to $200, but I want to make sure the people that registered in October also pay that $200, so it's going to schedule a $100 payment for them. So if you have if you're set up to kind of ask for more money along the way and to schedule those payments, this will be the option for you. So yeah, so then basically once I create that one policy, that's where I can use that again across events. If I needed to update, I can come back here to any of the events, click edit, make my change, and then that's going to apply across all those events. So balance due date, this one's going to default to the event start date. Maybe I want to change this. Maybe it's at 2 weeks before is my actual balance due date. Transfer fee if you want to apply that, and then again a cancellation policy. So this is similar to the one above. We'll go ahead and add another one as well. We'll call it Summer Camp. And this is where you can enter in basically different rules of what you want to apply for your cancellation policy. So if I want to do maybe $50, we'll do $100. The deposit is forfeited after enrollment. So basically anytime after they've enrolled, it's going to charge that. And then you could do another one, maybe 100% of tuition is forfeited before the start of, we'll do 7 days before. So you can set these rules up however you need to accommodate what you have. If basically when this feature came out, basically we copied all of your existing cancellation policies and deposit schedules and created these for you. So if you do need to edit these, you're able to select in CT5 from a dropdown existing ones. But if you need to edit, the place to be would be in CT6. Excuse me. One of the other things to note is there's a disabled option. And basically what this allows you to do is if you have a lot of different cancellation policies, maybe you have more unique ones that you need. If you select disabled, basically it's going to hide it from your list that you're going to select for any other event division. So in this example, summer camp would show up for me because this is the one I have it set under, but maybe I only need it for this one event. Instead of having to, add it to my list, I can disable it, and then it's not going to show up when I create my next event. So that's kind of how that works there. So yeah, so then from here, I'm gonna add my AR category and my amount. We'll say it's $500 for camp. I can select if I wanted to allow a discount. You can add multiple AR categories. This would be, if you wanted to add like a service fee, you could add that on there as well. So yeah, so we'll go ahead and select save. So you can see here, basically these are set, all these policies and the charges are all set for both event divisions. Again, if I want to break those out, I can just uncheck that and then modify those independently. So next section here is under steps. Again, you can see this is one of the features, with same kind of concept where a lot of times, the steps for all your event divisions are the same. Instead of having to go into 4 to 10 event divisions and update them, if they're all the same, we can keep them the same and just modify them in one spot. So in this example, we'll go through and just add a couple attendee steps. First one I'll choose here is additional questions. So you can see how this works. Basically, just select the step here. Ask when does it show up during registration, either asked or skipped. And then this is a new feature as well. Before we had kind of a date of when the step can be accessed. And so this, we've kind of broken that into 2 different options. So you can set this to display the step. Maybe I want to display this 120 days before the event begins, but then hide the step 3 days before the event begins, so no one's going through and editing those. So you can set those before or after, but that basically it's an or statement, so or an and statement, so it's display this as well as hide it. So you can kind of do it on both sides to put a range in there. So yeah, and then from here, this is where I'd select my attribute categories. If I wanted to add multiple ones, I can just click the add button. It gives me another option there. Another step that we'll take a look at is the store card. This is something that's a little bit different. Basically, before in CT5, store card configuration was in kind of its own section. So you had to kind of configure it in 2 places. We've moved this so, if you have the store card option, then this is where the different, the setting is going to be. So, if you want to add a default amount, maybe $25 or $20 on there, it's only going to show up if you have the store card option set. So then from here as well, we'll do a couple more. Medical history, that's a common one. This is where I'm going to select my medical configuration. And then we'll do one last one with terms and conditions. So similar concept here. We're just adding these in here as needed for each of those. One thing to note is that for your legal terms and conditions, one of the features that we haven't moved over from CT5 is registration checkout. And so if you do need to add a registration checkout legal terms, you still need to do that in CT5. That'll be moving over to CT6 here shortly. But so this would just be for the attendee steps. So during the registration process, this is where you set those. Registration checkout would be set in CT5. So again, too, if I unselect that, then I can, if I want to have a different workflow for my counselors, I could do that. If I want them the same, go ahead and just refresh there. So these next ones are going to be for allocations for lodging, meals, activities, and resources. So we can, so similar concepts for each of these. We'll just go through a couple examples. I'll click here on Edit Lodging, and I'll click here on Find. So this is going to show me my list of available lodgings. Right now there's a bug here. I'm in the test database. I think it's gonna, yeah, it's gonna pull up an error message on there. But we're working on getting that fixed. But that's basically concept is you're just gonna select which ones you need to allocate. You can set specific dates if you wanted to. So, if you only want to allocate it for, part of the, not the full event, but just part of it, you can do that. And then also, if you want this to be visible on the web or not, you can select that, as well as setting the capacity. So if you want it to just be unlimited, you can select that option. Or this is going to pull from the resource configuration, the default there. So yeah, so that's where you can allocate your different resources. Again, too, with this, I'm trying to kind of consolidate some of these concepts together in terms of event divisions. So if for your your lodging, it doesn't matter what event division it goes to, it's just going to default to all. But maybe I have some lodging that goes to one event division or another. That's where you can just set these under the different for each individual thing. So makes you kind of, instead of having lodging in two different places, you're setting it in one spot and then specifying the event division there. So yeah, so then we'll go ahead and save that. So that's gonna allocate for me. From here, once I have allocated, I can select on this option, and if you have resource allocation attributes, that's where you can set those. So this would be, maybe I want to put, the staff member that's going to be in pod 1. I can put their name in there. I'll just put my name in here, for example. So that's where I can set that attribute value, as well as set requirements. So if you have anything set up as a required resource, this would come into play more with activities where there's a prerequisite, so you have to have one activity before you can have another one. That's where you can set up those requirements. Meals, next section here, similar concept. I'm going to select edit meals, select find, and that's going to show me my list of meals that I can allocate for each one. We'll go ahead and select a couple here. Again, same error message, but that's what we're working on. Again, I can allocate, I can set my time, set my quantities, and do that for there. So I can allocate all the meals I need to for there. Next section is for activities. So again, I'm going to select add activity. It's going to give me two options: one with scheduling, so this, and then one without scheduling. So I'm going to go through the no scheduling option. If you do have, if you go through and have scheduled activities, you can walk through that process as well. Basically, once you select one of these, the event is going to be set. The next activities are all going to be the same type. So there's essentially one way you can either do with or without scheduling. So I'll select no scheduling as an example. So from here, I'm gonna select my resource. So I'll choose basketball. I'm gonna make it visible to the customer. Again, I can specify which event division I want it to be, or just for all event divisions. Set my capacities, set a price, and then as well set my category restrictions. So this would be if I, maybe I have 2 or 3 different resource categories, and I want them to select a minimum of 1, but also just a maximum of 1 from this category. I can set those on there. So yeah, so then it's going to show here. For all divisions, here's the resource that I have allocated. I can have 40 people join this one. And then again, I can select the 3 dots here to be able to edit it, set the attributes, update the requirements, or as well as to share the allocation. So this would be if there's other events happening at the same time, you can share the resource amongst those events if need be. So. Yeah, so those extra options are there once you've allocated to the event. Similar to concept with resources, kind of all 4 of these are very similar process. I'm not sure. I don't think I have one set up here. I think there's one, meeting room, so I could allocate a meeting room to that as needed. So I'll skip registrations just for a second here. We'll look at attributes, and we'll come back to that one. So attributes, this is for event attributes. So this would be, maybe if there's specific information about the event that you want to be tracking, you can create custom attributes for you there to be able to put those in and save those. And then, yeah, so we'll go back at registration. Obviously, for this event, you know, I haven't, I don't have any registrations because I just created it. So I'm going to go back and look at one of these. I believe I have a couple here that has some registrations in it. Yeah, so I'm going to click here on View, and I'll select the Registrations tab, and that's going to show me basically for this specific event who's registered. So if you've used the registration search in CT6, it's going to be a very similar concept. Basically, you have our criteria over here on the left-hand side. You know, I can break down male versus female, the different statuses, and then I can group by different options. So if I wanted to group by gender, you know, I can do that. Maybe itinerary, you know, looks like the parks are together, so I can see my different itineraries set up that way. And then again, you can yeah, select the ones you need to on there. So as well, there's options to see, you know, if they have a missing medical form, missing legal terms, as well as you can highlight those based off of which icons they've completed or not. So this one's green, so medical history is complete. You know, the store card is incomplete from there. So yeah, so in terms of what this also brings to CT6 is the management aspect. So you can come into your events and see, you know, who's registered and manage your events from here. The other option too is, you know, if I go in to look at Jeremy's registration, if I need to look at some specific details, you know, or update the event or something like that, the registration records now has a link back to our event. So if I need to go in, you know, maybe update something on the event, you know, and I remember when I was on Jeremy's record here, I can select that and jump back here to make an update or, you know, look at more registrations. So yeah, last feature that we're going to go over, I'm going to jump back here to the one I was configuring, and that is the batch updater. And so what this allows you to do, you know, as you notice when I went in to edit something in here, maybe I'm going to change this to 450. I clicked on save, and what this is going to ask is, hey, it looks like you made a change to this event. Do you want to, you know, apply this to any other events? And so there's two options to get there. One is basically once you make a change on an event, it's going to prompt you for this. The other option is you can go to actions and then batch update. So you can just do that at any time. So conceptually, how this works is, you know, one kind of application of how you could do this is you know, you have one event that you've created. It has all the settings that you want to update for, you know, 9 other events that you have coming up. So you can set up one event with, you know, all those settings, and then you can select these other events that you also want to update with the same information. So in this example, you know, maybe I set my open registration policy, and I want to, you know, or my you know, something different. I want to apply that to all these different events. So I'm going to select those events and select continue. And so from here you can see. So this is going to take the properties from my initial event, so the event that I just created, and it's going to say which ones do you want to copy to those other events. So maybe, you know, I've increased my capacity. You know, we built a couple new cabins. I want to increase my capacity for all my, you know, overnight camps out of 450. I can select that. You know, and then maybe I want to, you know, change, you know, them. They were all private events. Now I want to make them public. I can select that as well. Another option too is, you know, all the settings I have on my event division. You know, maybe I want to copy, you know, what all those settings are. You know, I made my updates, and I just want to copy that across several events. So yeah, basically you just select which ones you want from the kind of our first event, and then we'll click continue. It's going to, oh, okay, it looks okay. I might not have something set up here, so we'll just do some of these ones here. It's going to validate that everything looks good. It probably just didn't have similar event divisions set up on those ones. So all event properties can be updated, and then I'll go ahead and apply changes. And then all those events have now, I set the attendee max to 450 on them, as well as if they were a private event, made them public. So yeah, so that's the overview of event configuration. If you guys do have questions, click on the Q&A button there, and we can go through there. Couple things. I have a poll that I've just with a couple questions. I'll go ahead and launch that. So if you have a minute to just go through and vote on that, just to kind of give us some insight on where you guys are at, as well as kind of what other people are thinking. So we'll let that run here for a minute. So if you want to take a look at the poll. And then, yeah, if there's any questions that have come up, go ahead and throw those on. It looks like the teams, Taylor and Jason, have added a handful there already. But yeah, happy to answer any questions. The other thing too is just in terms of resources, going through this webinar, we did cover a lot of material. We'll both be posting the video on the support site, so you can review that. Or maybe someone wasn't able to make it and they really enjoy hearing me talk about event configuration. Go ahead and send the link to the video. As well as here on our support site, we have several articles that walk through this process. So here under recently added, how do I create an event? That's going to be, essentially what we walk through today with kind of, each step by step. So if you want to kind of review each of those options, you can go through there. And then as well, specifically on the open registration policy, as that's, kind of a new concept, kind of how that works. There's a section here on open registration policy. And there's also an article specifically on how do you use the tags in open registration policy. So kind of a use case of, hey, I want to use a tag. How do I do this? It's going to walk you through the examples, kind of what you need to set up in terms of what type of attribute, how do you apply those attributes, and then how does it all kind of come together. So yeah, and then if you are looking, maybe you're not going to use the bulk, the batch apply attributes for open registration policy. If you just want to use that in general, there's also an article that just walks through that process as well. So yeah. So a question, oh, got that one answered. So great. Well, yeah, if you do have any other questions, feel free to put them on there. We'll stay open here for a couple more minutes. Thanks for everyone who's voted on the poll. You can see, looks like most people are registered. This is kind of the time of year they're going through and doing event configuration. Yeah, so that looks great. What we typically suggest too, obviously there's lots of things that go into setting up your events. Typically dates and rates are the things that lots of decisions that kind of have to take place for that. But generally the earlier that you can set those events up, the better. Have people go through and test them, make sure they're dialed into how you want, and go from there. So one question here with the batch updater, will that be available? That's a security privilege that probably just need to get added. We can follow up on what specific one that is, but that it may just not have been globally added. So if you don't see the batch update option and you're an admin, go ahead and you can look at your security group in CT6 and add that to you there. So another question too: are these changes currently available? Yes, they are. Yep, everything that we showed you is in live, so you can go through and make those updates there. The one thing I mentioned was the registration checkout legal terms. That's still in CT6, so that's something that we're working on moving over, and so that we'll let you know when that's ready to go. So another question here: if you wanted to copy most things in Event Division, could you just set up a few and then make the individual changes? Yeah, that's one option. Is you can you know, typically when we go through implementation, you know, we have people create essentially one event, and then once, you know, everything's in that one event, then copy it over and be able to update those things. With the batch updater, basically it allows you to do that, you know, kind of after the fact. So instead of having just kind of a one shot, you know, be able to do that, you can say, oh, actually, I want to change these settings and then apply them across those events. So another question too, when is CT5 going to be fully sunset? We don't have a specific date on that at this point. You know, we are in the process, kind of two big projects that we're focusing on. Primarily is online registration, so redoing that experience for your parents, as well as moving functionality from CT5 to CT6. So those are kind of concurrently going on, with the primary focus on online registration. When, you know, we'll let you know plenty of time in advance when CT5 is going to be sunsetted from there. But yeah, if you haven't looked in CT6 recently, one thing you can do as well is jump on the support site, and if you go to the knowledge base, there's an option here under CT6, and you can see there's, you know, 102 articles about specifics in CT6. So if you have things that you haven't done yet, you know, go ahead and check that out. It's always great to start, you know, using some of the new functionality that we've put out there. So awesome. Well, looks like we are out of time and out of questions. So thank you again, everyone, for joining us. Yeah, we'll be posting this on the registration site, or sorry, on the support site, and you'll be able to review from there. So thanks again for joining us, and we will talk to you later.